Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of The Downward Drive. We're back. The show is back after all this time. We have upgraded the setup. To these wonderful Rode lavalier wireless mics. Gonna try to hope that the system prevails. I'm always hesitant to use this technology with like additional moving parts, additional layers, because it just creates more time to mess up. So hopefully I'm not just wasting my time right now, and this audio is going to end up good and crispy, especially for our wonderful guest today, Andrew, Huggbees TV of YouTube.
Hey man, how's it going?
It's going good. We
Good.
are on the drive right now. We are headed out to the local park. I'm down here in Tampa this week for the Creator Clash event. Going to be trying to get several interviews this week. The first of which is with
Me?
you.
I'm so fucking honored.
Yes.
I thought about this for like a week, and I just had cold sweats every single night. Vomiting, nausea, diarrhea. Just could not contain my excitement. And now here we are, driving at a brisk, 15 miles an hour?
Yeah.
Fucking flooring it.
I am in the slow lane.
High flying it right now.
I am trying to maintain my perfect safety record here on the show,
Okay.
and I will not jeopardize it now.
So is my goal on the show to try to like ruin your perfect safety record? Just kind of like grab the wheel?
I'm not sure that should be anyone's goal going forward
Well, why not?
on the show. But we're here in scenic Tampa, Florida.
How committed to the show and the bit are we? Like, so you said earlier when we were setting up that improv is going to happen, live things are going to happen, there's weird shit on the road. If we just mow over a pedestrian, do we like riff on it? Like, whoa, bro, you totally nailed that fucking guy. You blasted his brains on the sidewalk. That was hilarious. Can we do it again for better audio? Is that going to happen?
Yeah, the second take.
Yeah. Pick him back up, put him back where he was, like duct tape him in place.
We're hoping that there will be no extreme disruptions, because we all know the viewers of the Downward Diary, they want to hear your story, Huggbees. They want to hear about the rise of Hugbee to YouTube stardom.
I've never even met you before this point, and you're asking me all these personal questions. We can give you them a behind the scenes. This man knocked on my door at 3:30 in the morning last night and said, "Get in." And I said, "Where?" And he said, "Get in." I don't know if you had a gun, but you had a vaguely threatening silhouette, so I did what you asked. I've been in this car for like 9 hours.
Yeah,
You don't seem very fazed by this fact.
well, yeah, because we just went through it. I don't really understand why it was necessary to relay that information to the audience. I guess there have been many attempts to do this show already. 9 hours of attempts. Like I said, this new lav audio, which I only have because that one guy in the comments complained on the last episode. We have lav audio now, so no more complaints.
Everyone on YouTube knows that the secret to a successful channel is listening to that one person whining in your comments. They're usually always right. They have great advice and know exactly what they're talking about.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Congratulations, Mr. Commenter.
Yeah.
Your complaints have paid off. I've undergone the monetary expense and the hassle. It took 15 extra minutes to set up this damn show.
Can I call out someone specific? Starstruck69. You know who you are. You're always in my comments. And he's always saying really fucked up stuff like, "Hey, you forgot to add audio for this part." Or like, "Hey, you left the lens cap on the camera." And it's like, fuck you, dude. I know how to make a video, okay?
Yeah,
you don't have to say those really awful
just go with
things.
it. Why can't these people just go with it? Well, sometimes the video can just be audio only, you know?
Yeah, it's like those are the kind of people where like you don't want a horrible accident to happen to them, but you wish and pray for it every single night. But you don't want it to happen. You know what I'm saying?
These commenters, man, some of them just need to learn to get in line. Fall in line and get in your place.
I realized I was supposed to answer your question, and I have not done anything of the sort. I don't think I ever will by this point. So the question was, Emplement, how did you get started on YouTube? That's where we were going with this.
So how did I get started?
Yeah.
Basically, I wanted to make videos about SpongeBob saying curse words.
Yeah, good old YouTube.
And one thing led to another, and now I'm just a green man going through a drive with my valued guest, Huggbees.
So is there? I think we're turning here, by the way.
Okay.
Is there like some weird fuckery going on with, I don't know, are you like irradiated in your side of the car? Because I have a feeling if I stick my hand like here, it's going to turn green from you just giving off some like...
I have a bit of an aura. It comes from all this chlorophyll. I've like chlorophyll cells inside of me.
You photosynthesize?
Well, yeah, I've been plant-based for 7 years now, and
that's healthier.
When you get based enough in the plantosphere, you start to actually develop chlorophyll, chloroplast cells within your body, and there's this sort of green bioluminescence.
See, I'm more plant cringe. So, like, I eat kale salads and brag about how incredibly healthy they are. I'm kind of in that spectrum, you know? Like, I tried keto, I tried Atkins, but then I found plant-based diets, and I don't stick to it at all. I eat whatever the fuck I want. But I like to tell people I eat that, so I can feel superior to them in every way. Half the reason you become a YouTuber is to feel superior to every person you meet.
Why do you think I became green?
Yeah.
It's because... it's not enough to just tell people. That wastes time and energy that I could be using to eat more plants to become even more plant-based. So why not just show it off immediately with this wonderful green hue that I've so desperately cultivated over the past few years.
Right.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's pretty amazing how in real life, not on the camera, when I look at you, it's more like a tan bronze, but it's probably because my eyesight is adjusted for night vision. So, like, if we were in the pitch black of night, you'd be like glowing luminescent green right now.
You have to have the true, you have to have the true sight, the true third eye to actually be able to perceive the greenness correctly. That's why, I mean, all the people who watch the Downward Diary here are also based, and that's why they can see it. But occasionally there's like excuses like, Emp, well, I saw this video of you and you weren't green. What happened? Well, it's probably because either one, you didn't believe hard enough that I am green.
You're like the, what is it, where you got to clap and they come back to life, where it's like, okay, kids, if you don't fucking clap, then like Superman's gonna die or whatever the fuck.
Like, I'm sorry, dude. If you're looking at me and I'm not green, that's your problem. That is a personal problem.
Right.
But occasionally there's also certain disorders. Like I've been out in the sun, hitting the beach the past few days. Sometimes that leads me to form this like unsightly sunburn.
This weird little like bronze color.
This weird little bronze.
That's
like,
unnatural.
mango
you
color.
should go to a doctor.
It goes away, thankfully. Usually in the same amount of time it takes me to get home and set up my camera and record videos.
I mean, people saying that you're not green is like other people claiming they've seen me without sunglasses on. Like, it just, why are you making shit up? Why are you lying? Why are you lying for attention? Well, it's like the audience doesn't realize that at our level of success, our level of strength, we can find you. And if we want, like, you could just be gone. Erased. You know, I won't describe how or who I'm going to hire, or the fact that I got a 2-for-1 special because there's a few politicians I'm not a fan of, but you could just be gone, eliminated for saying even the slightest of slighting comments towards us, and they just don't think about that kind of shit, you know? It's just pathetic. Like these I use the phrase mere mortals because it just describes them so perfectly compared to my godlike status. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let's delve into the godlike story of Huggbees. So
Sure.
So how did you first get started on YouTube here?
We're asking actual questions now.
Yes.
Okay. So way back in the olden days of YouTube, an era that probably 90% of the people watching this weren't even alive for, there was this fun little era called the Call of Duty times. And you might be familiar with it. It was when your luxurious classic YouTube poops were also flourishing in their era. But it wasn't what it is today, where it's all personality based. It's all just people hanging out. You know, vloggers were vloggers and gamers were real gamers. They were real men and women and competitors. Like, if they happened to be Korean, you would see them on Physical 100 moving a 2-ton boat with all their best friends. That's the level of aptitude we're talking about here. But back in that day, gaming content, really the biggest bubble, the biggest scene, the biggest place to be was Call of Duty. That was the fucking thing. That was what everyone did. It wasn't what it is now, where it's super oversaturated and kind of like super dude bro-esque. It was the game. It was the game everyone played. And I was sitting in my college room, my college dorm room, and you know, I was done doing the normal college things like getting straight A's and having sex with a lot of women and high-fiving professors and trying to make an aggressive takeover to become dean of the school one day, as you normally do in the college experience. and I was watching Justin TV at the time.
Oh.
Wasn't even Twitch. This was before Twitch was a thing. I was watching a combination of YouTube and Justin TV. And I think on YouTube I was mainly watching Achievement Hunter, back when that was like one of the big up and ups, you know, the Let's Players on there. And like fucking old school Justin TV and proto Twitch streamers. And I would watch like Call of Duty people. And I would just sit there and I'd be entertained. But a lot of the time, when I watched them and found new acts and people I didn't watch often or things that were passed to my feed, I just kept thinking, I'm so much better than this. I am much funnier than these people. Now, today that would be kind of a nonsensical statement because there's just so many creators and so much different variety and so many people on loud motorcycles ruining our audio. But there's just so many people in the sphere that it's kind of stupid to say I'm so much better than them. But you got to remember, back then, some of the highest popular content was stuff like Fred and like old school Smosh. Very, the joke is in the editing. It's all screaming and high energy and wackiness. And like the Let's Players would be like, what's going on, guys? This is like the stereotypical bullshit you see parodied today.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
So I just kept watching these people and I thought, man, look how big they are and look at what they do. I'm funny. I have good ideas. I'm gonna fucking do it. And so I did. And I wasn't. I was not nearly as funny or talented or charismatic as I thought I was, but I didn't care. Because at that point in time, in my head, a wee little college freshman baby, I said, this is the career I want. I literally, like, if this takes off, I will drop out of college. So needless to say, I got a full 4-year degree because it didn't fucking go anywhere. But the point is, I had a rinky-dink Toshiba laptop that was made out of literal, like, rubber bands and chewing gum. A fucking hunk of a brick that barely ran Team Fortress 2. And I somehow made it work to start doing gameplay commentary. I originally was known as the Lone Noob. That's how fucking cool of a teenager I was. I had the coolest name. The best.
You know, it's not awful. I've heard a lot worse.
Oh yeah. But I've since changed it to Huggbees, and it was the best move I've ever made in my career. Let's be honest. So, I back then, on a shitty Toshiba laptop, figured out all the roundabout ways to record gameplay. I would record old as fuck games that could run on it.
It was harder back then.
It was a lot harder too.
The pre-OBS times.
Oh
rough.
yeah, oh yeah. So I initially, for Call of Duty, the first Call of Duty I ever uploaded to my channel was Black Ops 1 because it had a replay feature.
Wow, was that like 2009?
Yeah, around there. But I did that one because it was the first one with a built-in replay feature. So what I would have to do is message my friends who could afford a capture card and send them a replay of a game and go, could you record this for me and send it to me so I could commentate on it for my channel? And I had to do that a couple times. And even before then, I had friends of mine send me their gameplay footage because I could not record stuff. I had no money. I was broke as fuck in college. My laptop was a school laptop. It wasn't even good.
The student loans are being put to good use.
Oh, yeah. So I couldn't afford a PVR, a capture card. I couldn't afford any of that. My microphone.
Oh, dude, the HP PVR.
Yep,
HD
the Hauppauge.
The Hauppauge HD PVR.
Hauppauge, whatever the fuck it was.
I never have. I remember people using. I remember there's a video where like Oni uploaded a video of himself peeing on the Hauppauge.
Because they're awful.
PVR.
They are god awful pieces of shit.
That name is like the trigger to like bring back all the memories from that era.
I'm chopping out a deep nostalgia block for any creators who started way back when I did, and not in a good way. So the fucking Hauppauge got all that shit. I couldn't afford that. My first microphone ever was a blue Snowball. And I saved up for like months just to afford it. And like, it was scuffed. It was a shitty dick-ass setup, terrible. Then I finally got a PVR. And it was awful and it crashed all the time and it sucked. But it let me record my 360. And when I could record my 360, that's when it was like, okay, now I can just buy everything for 360 and fucking go nuts. So I recorded gameplay footage, very typical commentary at the time. Just rambling, insane nonsense bullshit. I think one of my most popular videos after a while was me telling of how I got into a minor car accident and just telling the story of what happened.
Oh, that's very encouraging for what we're doing right
Oh,
now.
fuck yeah. And now I like accidentally, while entering this park, mowed down a pedestrian who had every right to be there because I was conducting an interview. That happened. Isn't that weird?
You gotta pay to get in here?
We can,
I'm broke, dude.
I can
I
help
spent
you
all
out.
my money on these lav mics.
We got 45
do you have
minutes.
any? Do you have any?
I actually
CAD?
can-
Can you cover me, please?
So you invite me to your show to interview me, and then you ask me to pay for
Well, I'm trying to go to like little cool eccentric places
my
on
Lord.
this on this
shit.
show.
There goes my mic.
And I found on the map Lettuce Leaf Park.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't like lettuce?
I don't,
So,
but that's okay. So, real shit show, real garbage stuff. And I just, my focus there was quality, behest of quantity. It was all quantity over quality. As much as I could fire out, oh, new game, playing it. Oh, new like indie game, playing it. Oh, weird browser game, playing it. I wanted to focus on games. I don't think I ever really did non-gameplay content, but it was always just find a game and play it. Weird stuff, old stuff, new stuff, anything I felt like playing. And that went nowhere. And for many, many, many years, it's a long, complex history I don't even remember. I mean, I've been uploading videos for like 12 years now or some fucking shit. I don't even know. I don't remember most of it. But it was literally just I'd find games, I'd find ideas. Eventually I branched out, did like regular shit, you know, like, oh, I'll make a skit or a this or a that. And that was all fine. And then, one day, I moved to Tampa to work with our mutual friend and very short, handsome man, Charlie, Critical. And I moved here to Tampa, and he's like, you know, we'll move together, we'll make content together, we'll hang out, we'll do this stuff. Because he and I were doing our podcast. Our podcast, I think, had started before then. And that
This
was
is the official podcast,
The official
by the way,
podcast,
yes.
which you can watch on YouTube and listen to me have the worst opinions known to man.
But watch the downward drive first.
Yeah, now watch this show, and then watch my podcast, and then watch this again to compare how much I've grown as a human being. And then when you watch it a third time, give the ad revenue to me for my fucking cut. So, long story there to condense it. We're doing our podcast, and that's kind of picking up and getting popular. And he's like, yeah, I moved to Tampa because I was living with my parents in South Florida. And I was like, I don't want to live with my fucking parents anymore. So I moved here, and we were doing our podcast. And I still had my channel, and it was small. I think I had like less than 50,000 subs at the time. I really don't remember, but I do know it was not nearly big enough to do full time. And I was talking to Charlie in the middle of us working out at the gym. And he was like, so what are you working on? Because he's, as you know, always working on every video ever. And I said, well, here's a list of ideas I have. And eventually I said, and one thing I want to do is I watch the show How It's Made, and I want to do a parody of it. So I went on a camping trip with some friends, and there was a farmhouse there that had a TV. And I walked in on them after waking up, and they were watching How It's Made. And I distinctly remember the episode was rocking chairs. And I kept thinking, like, I've got a list on my phone of like ideas for videos, and I just wrote down like How It's Made parody. And I was like, oh, perfect. I saw the rocking chair episode, I wrote it in my phone, whatever. And then talking with Charlie, and I'm like, here's some ideas I have, and he said, ooh, the How It's Made says funny. And I was like, yeah, I can do that one. So I went home, and I put together How It's Made of chocolate. Because the chocolate episode on YouTube had a bunch of views, and it was just fully there, so I could rip it off and, well, not rip it off, but take the footage from YouTube and not have to, like, download the episode or do a lot of work. And I wrote my script, and I redubbed it, and I threw it up. And then after, like, a couple weeks, it's got 300,000 views.
Oh,
and I'm like,
that's your big break right there.
There it is.
Wow.
After doing this for many, many years, I think I'd been doing it for like 6 years by that point. I was like, there it is. I'm finally, because before this, all my videos got like 4,000 views, like nothing.
Wow.
Like I had fans, but it was just small. It was nothing sustainable. And then this gets like 300K, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And then I do another regular video, and that gets a little boost of attention, but nothing. And I'm like, okay, it's How It's Made that's catching on. So then I did skateboards, because I was like, I don't want to do food again. That's like the same jokes. And skateboards, successful, but not the same. And I go, okay, let's do food again. And then I do bacon. And I think bacon is my highest viewed video of all time. It might be chocolate now. But that exploded. That was like 1 million views, like out of the gate. And I was like, I think I've finally figured out what I'm really good at and what will work. So then, for a few years, I dedicated my channel to educational parodies. So documentaries, food and cooking shows, how it's made, short films, educational films you'd see in school. One of my personal favorites, old 50s, like how to go to the prom videos that are like black and white with like jaunty music. I love
the
those.
dystopian sounding ones,
Literally
yeah.
where it's like, Mary makes sure to apply makeup so she can look pretty for her boyfriend, like that kind of shit. I love that shit. And I just did that for years because I was like, I'm really good at it. They're really funny. This is working out great. And then eventually the copyrights started rolling in. And how it's made, one day it was like, all of this is our footage, it's copyrighted. And I'm like, no, it's a parody, it's fair use.
The intern at How It's Made finally caught on.
They finally caught on. And that happened once. And about half of them got like blocked and flagged and whatever. And I said,
blocked,
fuck,
dude.
Shit, fuck.
It's like, why you gotta block it?
I know.
That's just a complete overkill
So-
option. Luckily, they don't do it that much anymore.
Yeah. So I like fought a bunch of them. Some of them stayed blocked. Some of them they let go. It always depends on who holds the rights. And that was my wake-up call to, this is working and it's fun and I'm good at it, but I need to diversify. I can't just do this because at any point my channel could just be deleted and they'll be like, no, it's our footage, get fucked. So I started doing original content, which is where I am now, which is where I went, okay, people like the educational stuff. A lot of people, especially in the How It's Made comments, would be like, I came here looking for real episodes and looking to learn how this was made, and I got like these jokes. And I was like, well, why don't I just make that myself? Don't use their footage. So I started finding snippets of interesting information and turning them into videos. So, for example, the World Scrabble Championship today beat the French Scrabble Championship twice. He does not speak French. He memorized the French Scrabble dictionary.
Wow.
So I went, that's a great video. So I researched the guy, I looked up his history, and I made like a 15-minute video talking about all of his accomplishments and using like a combination of stock footage and like photos of him and shit. And that's just how I make my videos now. I hear of a cool story or something interesting I remember. For example, I don't know if this will be up before mine's up, but currently I am doing a video on Snowflame. Do you know who Snowflame is?
No.
So in the 80s, DC tried to make a line of comic books tackling adult issues. They had a team of superheroes like the fucking Justice League. They're like their own thing. And they tried to tackle like homosexuality in America, the war on drugs, the issue with Colombia in the 80s, et cetera, et cetera.
The Iran-Contra.
Yes, no,
superhero.
literally yes. And in the second issue, they created a character named Snowflame, who is a supervillain who gains superpowers when he does cocaine. And he had a whole issue about him. And he was so inversely popular that he got rebooted in the new Catwoman comics. As a character that shows up. And he's literally just a supervillain who gets super strength and super speed whenever he does cocaine.
That's just the self-insert right there.
Right?
The writers.
Right? So
Yeah.
so I thought, this is amazing. So like my video that I'm working on right now that'll hopefully be out before this, because it should be out done soon, is I'm just reviewing those comics and being like, this fucking happened. Like they made a supervillain who advocated cocaine and made it look super cool. But that's how I make my current videos. I'll just find something on Google or overhear something, and then I'll go, oh, let's check it out. Let's look on Wikipedia and research it.
Oh, shit. All right, so we are here at Lettuce Leaf Park.
Uh-huh.
I've never been here before.
Me either.
Apparently you haven't either.
No.
Even though you're from the area.
No.
But we are looking to go out to the observation tower. So hopefully that'll be some cool scenery here as we continue the story
You have such
of Huggbees.
You have such a nice like announcer voice. It's so funny. In real life, outside of this candor, you're like, hey man, how's it going? But here you're like, we're walking, we're talking.
Yes, the years and years. I mean, I guess we're kind of similar in that regard, where your voice has often been praised as being very, very wonderfully radio-like, you know?
Oh, thank you. You think so?
Yeah, well, I mean, you pulled off the voiceover on those
True.
How It's Made videos very well, and that's not anyone can do that.
So
you know?
what a lot of people don't realize is when you're doing an impression, 90% is how they say things, not at all what they sound like. So Bruce Moore is the most iconic narrator on How It's Made. He's the guy most people know. There's like a British guy for the British air, and then there's like a Canadian woman. But most people know Bruce Moore. And what I did preparing for that parody is I watched a few episodes of How It's Made, and I noticed that, yeah, I could try to like pitch my voice up or down or have an accent if Bruce Moore had one, but the most important thing was dictating sentences the way he did it. So Bruce Moore, when he divulges information, he kind of has like a rising inflection in the beginning, and then at the end he kind of like lulls you into relaxation. So if, for example, we're on this trail and I'm like, the trees here grow only in the fall and are cut down during the winter, he would go, the trees here grow in the fall and then are cut down during the winter.
Right.
So the beginning is very up, very catch your attention, and then he like pushes it all with this like gentle flow at the end. And that's how he speaks. So whenever I do any of those parodies specifically, like in the 1950s, they're very like, Susie has decided that she's going to go to the date with a real swell gal. Like, very, like, bombastic, very, you know, like, what is it, transatlantic accent? You know, made for TV and radio. So when people want to do that kind of stuff, and let's say I hop on YouTube and I'm, like, watching someone else who does it, very often I just am pulled out of it completely because they don't speak the same way. You know, they do the script, but they don't capture the magic. I'll watch other people who do How It's Made parodies. There's a good other amount of YouTubers and videos who will do them. And then they'll start the video and they'll be like, this factory makes carrots and the carrots are cut into, it's like, you don't sound like you would narrate how it's made.
There's a lot of little nuance
Yeah.
to it. This is something I picked up on. Simply, I don't really do that much versatile voice acting gigs or whatever, but just simply for what I feel comfortable with presenting in my own voiceover for the Emp Lemon documentary style videos.
Right.
You'd be surprised like how much you can get hung up on like how one syllable sounds, and you want it to sound a certain way in your head, but it causes me to just do certain takes over and over again. It's extremely annoying and frustrating while going through and getting the audio edited.
Yeah.
But that's just something that has to be taken into consideration to have that professional narrational voice. And there's all sorts of little things, little triggers and tricks that change depending on just to make the context just right of whatever you're trying to match.
The thing that a lot of people when they narrate things don't realize is you're telling a story. When you narrate something like that, your words have a substance to them. So you need to make sure that you know where your sentences are going. Not just you're saying it, but you are dictating what's on screen. So you kind of have to like, whenever I do any video, regardless of if it's a parody of something or an original thing, I hear exactly how I want to say it when I write it down. And it helps me figure out how I'm going to say it on camera, how I'm going to like, you know, express my words, how I'm going to dictate. There's a pacing to it. That's the word I've been looking for.
Yeah.
There's a specific pacing to narration.
I think it's specifically called cadence, right?
Yeah, there's a rhythm to your words. And when I write my scripts, I specifically write with rhythm in mind.
Huh.
So that way, when you read my scripts, if you just read the text, they're very nonsensical. Like it seems like I'm just cramming words in there.
Oh, right.
But when I'm writing it down and I know, oh, this part I'm going to say really fast, this part I'm going to emphasize, then it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I realize over the years, like I've become quite skilled at it as well. But it's not something I actively think about until I'm confronted with certain situations. They don't come up often in the adult world. They're probably a lot more frequent of those of you in school. But if you're ever met in certain circumstances where people have to publicly read off of a script or some sort of thing in a public event, like I'll tell you, I noticed this a week ago when I went to a Passover event. I'm not Jewish anyway, but
Oh, thank God.
Oh yeah. I just saved a lot of the audience there from unsubbing.
Thank God for that disclaimer.
But yeah, I was just going to a friend's event, and they basically, as part of the ceremony, they pass around a packet where you have to like read the ceremonial text, like certain passages from the Bible and instructions of like when to take the thing and when to eat the other thing. And when you watch other people who don't do this for a living, obviously, so it's like not blaming them or anything, but Yeah, a lot of people have like a hard time
Yeah.
reading aloud.
There's like a pretentiousness that comes from doing this because
Yeah.
it's like that Futurama quote from when Bender's floating in space and becomes a god. When you do things right, people aren't sure you've done anything at all. And that applies to this business far more than many other fields. When you do your loud crickets, what are those? I don't even know. When you do your audio balancing, your visuals for the camera, your cuts, your edits right, people don't even think about it.
Yeah.
But when you make a mistake or clearly are amateurish at it, you notice it immediately.
Yeah, the commenters love pointing that out.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They love getting one over on you. It's like,
Well,
aha!
yeah.
Take that.
Well, that's just because they want to be involved. They want to
Yeah.
be like, oh, I noticed this and you didn't, and I'm trying to be a part of this.
Uh-huh.
But no, I mean, it's, I'll watch up and coming people who make really good stuff, but I can always pick out their level of experience because it'll be, oh, their jokes are just recycling memes or buzzwords, or, oh, their cuts are a little sloppy. If they cut it there, it would be funnier or better paced. And I can always see that stuff because I've been doing it for so long.
That's something you get from both making videos and watching a lot of videos.
Yeah.
You get a better sense of it. And yeah, it's interesting.
By the way, I have no fucking idea if this is the way the observation tower.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know where we're going.
I might have to just cut off another segment. I assume this is a loop.
Well, every single thing that we record needs to be in the video, or I refuse to be part of it.
Oh,
you don't
boy.
ever censor me.
Oh,
I
okay.
will fucking kill you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're in a kind of remote area. I'm taking the threat seriously.
Yeah, we paid $2 for parking, and I'm gonna get my money's worth by fucking taking you out.
Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting how there's still a lot of new YouTubers coming up the pipe.
And they explode out of nowhere, man. It's like it for a lot of people, they feel like they missed the boat, and yet it's bigger now than ever.
Oh yeah.
A great example is always Dream. Dream comes out of nowhere and near overnight earns 15, 16 million subs,
Yeah.
and not even doing anything remotely different, just Minecraft. Now, the way he does it in his specific style and branded, blah, blah, that's all specifics. But at the end of the day, he is a Minecraft Let's Player.
Correct.
And he was able to, in such an absurdly short amount of time, just blow the fuck up,
Of course.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's a mentality a lot of people have. There's two extremes to it. There's the people who are like, oh my God, YouTube is the way. I'm gonna quit my job. I'm gonna like take out a second mortgage on my house to buy some podcast equipment and make the funniest podcast in the world.
Yeah.
And that's a little too far. It
Yeah.
takes a while and usually a lot of hours, basically working for free before you can start having a fruitful YouTube career.
Everyone wants this as a job. Every person who ever starts doing it. But what a lot of people don't realize is you have to do it as a hobby. The chances of you just overnight sparking up, especially with no experience, is so vastly inconsequential that the first advice I give to anybody, any person who wants to do this garbage for a living, do it for fun. Do it because you're interested, because you have an idea, because you want to. Doing it thinking it will be a job is the way to just totally fuck yourself over, because then you wind up with the saddest of scenarios where you have those people who, for example, hop on Twitch every single night and live stream to 0 people.
Oh, dude.
Things of that fucking nature where it's like, you're not being honest with yourself.
Twitch is way harder than YouTube.
Twitch is also way harder than YouTube. Yeah, there's a reason I don't stream on Twitch
and
no more.
I don't even know if Twitch is going to be around in 7 years or so.
That's such a hard question.
Yeah.
Because the landscape of streaming is definitely dying. It had its heyday. It was definitely a fad. There was a point where everyone was live streaming. Every celebrity, every other successful person, without a doubt, was like, I'm going to hop on the live stream train. That was a thing. But I don't think Twitch will die. I just think it is a pyramid ruled by the top.
Of which Charlie, your friend, is.
I mean, yeah, I don't think that's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
But it is but it is what it is. And the fact of the matter is, I think there was some report where it's like the top 100 channels on Twitch get like 99% of the website's traffic or something.
Oh yeah,
or
it's an
top
extreme
1,000, I think.
It's an extreme long tail
Yeah.
distribution.
It
of,
is
of wealth.
It is
and
definitely,
viewership.
yeah. And as that continues, that's only going to get worse.
It's because Twitch is more zero sum than YouTube.
Yeah.
Because you can only really watch one
Right.
stream at a time.
Right.
Or on
Whereas,
YouTube you can watch like dozens of videos
yeah.
a day.
If we hit on the topic of why I stopped streaming and why I do YouTube full time now, like that's a video on its own. I could rant for 3 hours. But the thing with Twitch that I think will always fail compared to YouTube, and why YouTube is always the better choice, or Instagram or Twitter or what the fuck ever, is Twitch is now. Twitch is current. Twitch is at this very moment. Whereas with YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, people can watch you at any time. I have had videos where I make them and they do okay, like average, a little less than average, and then out of nowhere, 3 months later, they explode. And they just boost up in views. And
Yeah.
I did nothing. Maybe someone posted it on Reddit and it went viral. Maybe analytics were just recommending it more. Maybe something happened, something that does happen is something happens in the news that's related to it, so that video gets boosted the fuck up. For example, like I don't even know if this ever happened, but let's say I do a how it's made on hot dogs, and then the news has a big hot dog scare, and they're like, oh, hot dogs were culled from store shelves, toxic poison. Guess what? My video just got an influx of
Yeah,
views.
it's juice. The algorithm, certain keywords and topics in the algorithm,
Yeah.
it can be 3 years after the fact that you've covered it, but it gets
Yep.
juiced up. And people come in, like, well, I remember making the video about theorizing that YouTube was going to remove dislikes, and then like
And then they did.
18 months later they did, and
Yeah.
a bunch of people watched
Yeah.
that video. That video got a bunch more views.
Yeah, and whereas with Twitch, the saying I've always gone to as like a hardline statement of it, there are no residuals with Twitch. You get what you get while you're doing it.
In the moment.
In the moment. Whereas with YouTube, you've got ad revenue from old videos, you've got channel memberships, and here's the other thing, like people are gonna say, well, Twitch has subscriptions, it's the same thing. But on Twitch, people almost only subscribe when you're live. Very, very rarely do new subscribers come in when you're not live. But the point is that Twitch only happens while you're doing it. When you're in the middle of doing it, that is when you get your rewards from Twitch, that is when you get your payoff. Whereas for me personally, I live stream nearly every single day on Twitch for 5 years. And it was fun, and I enjoyed it. But I reached a point where I said, I'm dedicating too much time to this. I'm missing out on many other opportunities with my friends and my family and projects I want to do. This takes up so much of my time. And after a while, I just said, I'm just not enjoying it. Like, the growth is not worth it. I would much rather spend 6 hours a day working on a video and putting it up on YouTube and not having to worry about it than a stream where I have to schedule it, be on at the right time, find relevant stuff, play social, be like a fucking babysitter, and it just didn't do it for me anymore.
So how much growth did you actually get? Like, how big was your channel at the peak
See,
of your Twitch career?
that's the funny thing. That is the biggest reason that I quit to do YouTube full time. My YouTube at the time was exploding. It's still growing pretty good, but back then, through how it's made and some other stuff, it was blowing the fuck up. My Twitch never once got significant growth. It was always steady. It was always like a few people every few months that would add to the concurrent viewer count. And, I kept thinking, why do I have a YouTube channel with over 1 million subscribers that's blowing the fuck up and doing all sorts of stuff, whereas my Twitch, I feel like I'm working 3 times as hard for barely any payout, because like money-wise, it was like less than a fourth. Viewership-wise, it was like not there. And I enjoyed doing it, and I liked the people that I streamed for, and I liked the audience, and the boardwalk's closed, which
Oh my God.
I think
Well,
means we can't go to where we were
can't go to
thinking.
the observation deck. Okay, well,
Yeah,
so this is the Twitch route, and this is the YouTube route.
yeah, there it is. That's
More
the analogy.
Potentially more exciting stuff over there down the boardwalk,
yeah,
but it's often closed off to what you can reasonably
It
approach.
became a measure of efficiency. And I said, if I can make a video in about 6 hours, which if I'm doing something simple, I can. Why would I not do that, throw that on YouTube, get infinite residuals and a shitload more attention, when instead I'd go on Twitch and compete in this big dog park and have to try super hard and keep up with, be present. Whereas with YouTube, I can crank on some music, open a notepad, jot down ideas. I don't have to be there. I can, if I have to take a shit, I can just leave and take a shit. Whereas on Twitch, if you're off taking a shit and you're gone for 15 minutes, guess what? You just lost 15 minutes of viewership and money.
Yeah, I think that's something to be said about the nature of content creation. Yeah, so streaming versus just on-demand video creation. Mm-hmm. We here in the YouTube space, it's just at our own pace, you know.
Yeah.
You can take 6 hours on a video, you could take 6 months.
Yep.
But the fact of the matter is you're gonna put it out and people are gonna watch it kind of at their own leisure.
When I was doing Twitch, if I took a day or two off because I wasn't feeling it, I felt bad. I would say, oh God, I gotta be on schedule, and they were looking forward to it, and I gotta get paid, and blah, blah. Now on YouTube, if I say, I need a couple days to recharge, doesn't matter. Because the videos I put out earlier that week, they're earning me everything I need. The view counts, the subscribers, the money.
All right, so we are out again. The suction cup that's currently holding up this entire GoPro system and the expensive microphone transponder, it has been having problems, so at any moment it could drop, and I could be forced to pay the price.
It'd be pretty fucking epic. I would cry. I would scream.
Yeah.
I'd scream and cry.
They've already seen it happen once. Let's hope it doesn't. Let's hope it does. I got a very nice suck.
What you don't see though is he had a very brisk U-turn there that almost was disastrous. Driving into a tree.
It's okay. The perfect record continues. The suction cup is still up. We're hanging on here. We're hanging on.
Okay.
The wire's edge. The boardwalk is closed, but this discussion is not yet closed.
Okay.
Because I guess, as I was saying probably 20 minutes ago, out of the two kinds of people, the second person is very hesitant to do any sort of online creation where they believe that it is like a complete dead end, complete waste of time, that there'd be no point in even trying it because there are simply so many people. It's this belief that the market is incredibly
too saturated. Yeah.
And maybe that's the case on a platform like Twitch, but on YouTube, I've always found that a lot of my viewership, maybe like half of my viewership, goes to channels that I've only discovered in like the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, market saturation is a big topic, so we can approach it from two angles, like a spit roasting pincer attack. If you are a creator who believes the market's too saturated to get started, that's stupid. Like that is just a stupid belief. Because you can, as we said before, always do it for fun. You can always do it as a hobby. You can always just do it to do it. And to believe that the market is too saturated to ever catch on, in the cliche sage wisdom is you never know if you don't try. And it expounds even more specifically to YouTube because it's your specific creation. No one else can make your idea. So if you don't do it, it will never happen. That was a big push for me when I was trying to find success and just a nobody creator. I just kept thinking, if I don't make these video ideas that I have, they will never happen. The chances of someone doing something exactly how I do, exactly as I say it, is so infinitesimal that it's just not going to happen. I have done videos on interesting topics that have been covered before. I have done topics on videos that have been covered in viral videos. I have done videos on topics that big YouTubers have covered before me. I don't care. I don't give a fuck because I'm going to do it how I do it. My writing, my pacing, my style will bleed into that no matter what the actual content is. None of that matters. And then from the top level against that argument, YouTube, it might have changed now, it might be more, but YouTube said they get 1 billion views a day for the whole website. Even the biggest channels are not getting a fraction of that. Even the largest big boy channels. I mean, like the toppest end channels get like 500 million a month, I think. So, every single day you have an audience. You have people who will watch it. You have the audience is there. It's not like Twitch where there's only, I think Twitch said they get 300,000 viewers a day. And it's like, and you can only
stupidly low.
And you can only you can only watch one channel at a time realistically. But with YouTube, because it is whenever they want to watch it, just like put it out there. Just fucking do it. There's no reason not to. If you want to do something for fun and have realistic expectations about it, you really have no reason not to do it.
Right. I believe there's the impression that it's too difficult to be original. And a lot of this comes from justifying that a lot of the content, a lot of the top tier content on the website is kind of samey.
Right.
Because it's appealing generally to the same demographic audience.
And it's what works.
Which is usually like young boys aged 12 to 18 or young girls aged 12 to 18.
When I have to describe my demographic to people who don't really watch YouTube or any of that, I say the Adult Swim audience.
Yeah.
People who would watch Adult Swim are the exact people who would watch what I do.
It is underestimated how much of a wide, broad audience there is on YouTube. There are like 60-year-olds.
Yeah.
They're like people who are part of the Corvette Club. They're like born in 1960 and stuff. They're on YouTube
Club?
now.
What is the Corvette Club?
It's the Corvette owners.
That's just called the Corvette Club?
Yeah.
Damn, okay.
But that's a subsection of YouTube. There's a niche for like every group of people out there. Now you're not going to hit like insane like dream numbers of people. There's a reason why those guys, they tend to hit super high numbers. Is because that demographic, if you're a kid age 12 through 18, you're more likely to be similar to your peers than different. It is only when people start growing up and aging up where they go on these diverging paths to become different individuals, and that's where there's a lot of opportunity, in my opinion.
And also, don't worry about originality at all. Worry about what you want to do and what you envision for content. Because no matter what, I'm a very original guy. I'm very handsome, smart, funny, talented, quick-witted, and all-around charming. But no matter how original an idea I make is, no matter how out there I think it is, there will always be comments that say, this is just like that guy's video. Oh, you did that topic that this big YouTuber covered. Oh, this joke, it seems like you stole it from this thing, when I didn't. When there will be videos I will put out, for example, on a historical topic that I think like no one's ever heard of, or like no one's ever done a video on, and then someone comments and says, oh, this big educational YouTuber did that a year ago. I did a video on Lawn Chair Larry, who was a guy who tied weather balloons to a lawn chair.
Larry Walker, right?
Larry, yeah. And I thought that was a pretty niche thing, because I had only heard of it through like trivia fucking subreddits and like wherever I got it. And then when I put the video up, I discovered that one of the editors for SB Nation,
John Boyes,
did a
big fan of John Boyes here on the channel.
Did a whole huge deep dive with graphics and all sorts of like math and calculations and shit on that guy. I had no idea. I hadn't seen it. So I put up my video and then I watched his and I was like, yeah, we did the same subject, but the way we did it was totally fucking different.
Yes.
And I said, okay, I like what I did, I like what he did. But I still got comments of people who said, oh, you just ripping off John Boyes now? Oh, so you're just doing what he did? Oh, yeah, his video was way better. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Totally irrelevant.
That's the thing that's annoying. It's something I prefer to avoid. I prefer to like pick the fresh topics just because I get very annoyed with these comments. But at the same
that's where
time,
you and I differ.
Yeah, at the same time though, I consider it kind of unreasonable, as in like, so like what, only one person is allowed to cover one topic, and then after that point no one is allowed to cover it at any other point in perpetuity? Like, it doesn't make any sense. People should be allowed to cover the topics they want to, and yes, the benefit of a YouTuber is kind of their own stylistic spin. That is what differs from YouTuber to YouTuber, and
this fucking son is playing tricks. Holy shit.
Different audience members respond to different presentational styles, different oratory styles, and that's perfectly valid.
Yep.
It's what makes YouTube such a vibrant ecosystem, where it can serve the needs of like so many, like this huge variety of people.
So I used to have a similar outlook with you on comments, and I was like, oh, this annoys me, and oh, shut the fuck up, and my day's ruined, and stop talking. I'll let you in on a secret I've been coasting on for the last good long while. I don't even remember when it started, and it's still going today. I don't give a fuck about my comments. I really don't care what they say. And that includes positive, negative, everything. And that sounds mean, but it's because I know what I'm doing. I know what I want to do.
Right.
I don't want their input. I appreciate it. And if you're watching my videos, thank you very much for commenting. It helps boost my stuff, and occasionally I do check them to see how things are going, and the kind, encouraging words do mean a lot. But there's a very famous quote by Alan Moore, the guy who made Watchmen and many other really great comics, and he said, he said something, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, audience feedback is worthless because the audience is the audience. If they knew what they were talking about, they'd be the author.
Yes.
They would be on the same level. They would be other writers. They would be other success
Yes,
people.
I agree.
They would have other things to them. But the vast majority of people leaving these comments have nothing. They're just talking. They have no experience. They have no context. And they play their favorites. They're biased. And you don't know who this person is. They could be drunk. They could be high. They could be 9 years old.
Yeah.
Do you really give a shit what they have to say? So in the last good chunk of my career on YouTube, I completely don't take in anything people say in comments. The only thing I use my comment section for is suggestions.
Yeah.
So, hey, this is a cool topic, do a video on that. Or, oh, for example, I did a thing where I covered state welcome signs.
Yeah.
And a lot of the comments were like, oh, do state flags next. And I went, that's a good idea. I didn't even think of that.
Oh, but Geography Joe has already done that. So
And
how dare
you know what's really funny? CPG Gray, the educational YouTuber who does the stick figures, he's like
Yes.
really, really big. He just recently did a flag roasting video, very similar to mine. And I don't care, because that's his version. And yeah, it got way more views than mine, but that's his version. He's like a 5-6 million sub channel who puts out one video every like month, and of course it's gonna blow up. I had friends, when that flag video came out, they sent me CBG Grays, and they said, oh, he's pulling off your shtick, he's ripping off your shtick. And I'm like, no, he's not. He's doing a fucking video he would do. This is exactly in his wheelhouse.
There's like 100 different videos on YouTube talking about vexology.
Yeah, and they were like, oh, this is kind of like shutting out your video because it's so much bigger. And I'm like, no, it's drawing attention to mine because people who want to see more of that will go watch mine.
Speaking in terms of specifically the algorithm, you will get more views if a big YouTuber covers a topic you've made, because your video will get recommended in their
Competition on YouTube is a good thing. It only helps you get recommended and get eyes on things. But the point I was wrapping around is, when I look at my comments, I look at them as a resource. They are a tool to me.
Yes.
I say, oh, that's a good idea. Or if they'll catch an editing mistake, they're like, oh, hey, you left this part in, and I'll go, fuck, I gotta watch for that next time. Or I'll make a video on a topic and they'll go, oh, by the way, here's a detail you missed, or here's something interesting that you didn't cover. And I'll go, oh, maybe I'll work that in another video. I did a showcase a while back of famous last words.
Huh.
And there were a bunch of comments like, oh, you didn't talk about Giles Corey from the fucking Salem witch trials. And I was like, how the fuck did I not do that? I was in the Crucible in high school. How the fuck did I not talk about Giles Corey? And literally, I did a follow-up video, and the first thing I talked about was Giles Corey, because he was a fucking badass. He literally was like, go fuck yourself, when they tried to hang his daughters for being witches.
Yeah.
But the whole point is, I might not have thought of that without the comments. So to me, they are a resource. They are a knowledge pool.
Yes.
But the instant they provide feedback or criticism or commentary or critique, I just tune it all out, positive or negative. I appreciate the positive. I really thank you for it, and it does help the videos. But I don't internalize it, because it means nothing to me, and I know what video I want to make. I don't need their help, you know?
Yes.
I know the video I want to create, and I'll put it out, and I can handle it.
I was once a lot more perceptive of comments, and I have been getting more numb to them. Mm-hmm. Like you said, I kind of just I use them as a resource, I guess, especially on this channel, because this channel is a lot more homely than the main channel, which has become rather professionally oriented in the last several years. I use it to touch base where I'm just wondering if there's like people out there who think the same way I do about a certain thing. Mm-hmm. And it I find it gratifying when people are like, oh yeah, I've had this same obscure niche experience. But what you said about commenters not being authors, I wholeheartedly agree. I always say that, like, and the Mario movie's out now. This has been a big stink where people are like freaking out over how the audience score and the critic score is so different. Where when it came out, it's certified rotten by the critics. Right. And a lot of people defensively say like, oh, well, the critics don't know what they're talking about. Well, the audience is going to show the true score of a movie. And I was like, dude, my most hated movie ever, The Rise of Skywalker, is going to heavily disagree with this statement. Critics get stuff wrong all the times, but they are far and away way more knowledgeable and way more of an actual test of aptitude than Joe Schmo, Mr. Audience Member, who really, you have to have tried to make something, you have to have critically approached something, a creative process, and actually have had to make something before you can really, really get this understanding, even a basic understanding of what exactly goes into working on anything creative.
I think it's a mix of both, because I also think that there's a pretension that comes with the idea of, oh, I'm a critic, therefore I will criticize this. I think this game sucks because I'm a game developer, so my opinion weighs more. I don't think that's necessarily right on that end either. The case example I will always use is Gone Home, if you've heard of that video game. In 2013, I think, Gone Home was given Game of the Year by many, many, many publications and high-end gaming critics. And it is a 2-hour-long walking simulator where you walk around the house and look at stuff and the credits roll. That's the whole game. Meanwhile, that same year, like, The Last of Us came out, I think Metal Gear Solid 5, like a whole, oh my god.
We almost witnessed a
Holy
homicide.
fuck.
Oh boy.
An actual almost fucking murder. Wow, that motorcycle guy was so cool, and I wish I was him when I grew up. But anyway, the whole point is that year, some incredible genre-breaking games, people can Google it, I don't know off the top of my head, but like incredible milestone games came out, and the critics gave Gone Home Game of the Year because they thought it was emotional, and it like struck a chord, when it was a fucking piece of shit, hour-and-a-half, nothing experience held up by pretentiousness. And I think the same applies with critics versus public opinion. The public will often give you the worst of the low end, whereas critics will give you the worst of the high end. You know, the public enjoys simple, straightforward, whatever stuff. The critics try to be above that and have like higher standards, but even then they can talk out their ass. The best opinion is always the one you form yourself.
Right.
You know, like Mario movie is a great example. I saw it. Critics said it was whatever. Audience fucking loved it. I thought it was fine. I was entertained. It didn't blow me away. It felt very safe. Would I watch it again? I guess. Maybe. But it didn't feel like either of their opinions really swayed me. I didn't feel like I had to band with the audience to tell the critics off, and I didn't feel like I had to say I'm better than this. And I can see that this is a corporate, soulless piece of shit. You know?
Right. I don't tend to get a lot of bad comments. My comments are almost overwhelmingly positive, but there are the bad ones. And the bad ones, if you do read them, and I am a fair bit more perceptive to them than you are, it feels bad. It sucks. But there's a great irony I see in some of them where sometimes I'll see a piece of criticism directed at me where it's like, oh man, God, this guy really doesn't like me. But then I look at it and it's like, man, like this is really well written. Like I'm sure if this guy like started a YouTube channel and made a video about this, he could articulate this point really well. But at the same time, he would probably not feel it as strongly because you start to develop some sort of empathy for what YouTubers actually have to deal with and what exactly goes into making good content.
And that's the funny irony, isn't it? Because we just talked about if he applied it to make his own channel, well, then there's his own audience, then why not make content of that instead of just leaving a fucking comment? But the biggest bubble, the biggest perspective is it's a numbers game. You know, if you have 10,000 comments on a video, why listen to the 100 that are shit? Why not, you know, why tune it out? And that's a very hard habit to get over where you're always focusing on negative, and I've been guilty of that as well. But you got to look at it from big picture, higher stakes. If you are a small YouTuber with an audience, and let's say you open up a public email, you could get 10 emails a day. And you go, oh, I'll respond to them, I'll say hello, I'll make their day, I'll answer their questions. If you're a large YouTuber with millions of subscribers and you open a public email, you could get 1,000 emails a day. How in the fuck, even if you try, do you make that a meaningful interaction for people? where you take the time to answer all of their questions and interact with them. You can't. At a certain point, you physically can't. And that's the same nature of actual celebrities, you know?
Yeah.
They can't interact with all their fans. Now, even if they tried, even if they made an effort, there's not enough hours in the day. There's not enough energy in the human body. So you have to look at it from that perspective, where after a while, it just becomes this force, this flood, this mass. And trying to chip away at it is just you're not gonna get anywhere. It's gonna regrow faster than you ever could. So why even tackle it to begin with?
Yeah, well, you know what? That's kind of part of the reasons I started Downward Diary, because I hit 1 million subs last year on my main channel, and Call of Duty,
well deserved, by the way.
in Call of Duty, back full circle, sort of felt like I prestiged, you know. So now I'm starting a new channel.
Yeah, see, when I did that, I thought there'd be a lot more fanfare, and yet it was just kind of not. Like it just kind of was, and I went, oh,
well,
okay.
You know, it's reminding me of the real intangible, the stuff you don't think about, like the real sauce of becoming a YouTuber, the parts I enjoy, interacting with a smaller, more comfy audience once again. It's sort of these things I lost touch with as my channel has become quite big and quite successful, which is obviously the goal, but there's the little things that kind of get lost in translation there, where I kind of enjoy having a little bit more insulated channel, where maybe I can afford to be a little bit closer to myself, a little bit less with a stick up my ass kind of, as some people have been suggesting in the new videos.
So I think that might have been the ultimate push on why I stopped streaming. I'm the opposite. I want to focus on the art. I want to put myself into that world. I want to be a character. I want to push this like world building as far as I can go. I want my videos to have a feel, not just a style, but when you go to my channel, I want it to feel like this is like a steered ship, not a corporation, not a think tank. This is like the vision of one person just fucking plowing ahead. And I realized that a lot of creators, you and many that I know, very, very strongly value the community aspect, the just talking to people and having fun with fans and hanging out and streaming and those like conversations and that one-to-one. I've never felt that way. I enjoy it, but it's never been a drive for why I do what I do.
Yeah, so you are the artist at work in the locked room.
As pretentious as it is, and I will admit from top to bottom, it's pretentious garbage. I consider what I do art, and I try to put as much as I can in writing to express that. There's a reason when I write a sentence, if I'm going to describe, let's say, the sun and how hot it is, I don't just say, it's super duper hot. It's so hot, you can fry an egg on the sidewalk, like generic YouTube shit. There's a reason I say it's like a big fuck fireball in the sun sky that's going to kill all of us if it gets pissed off a little bit. Like, I think of those things because I want this to feel like there's a medium here, a style here. I want my videos specifically to sound like no one else. And I don't want to accomplish that by being friends with people, by like starting a relationship, being relatable.
Starting a Discord server.
Well,
that's a big distraction. I
did, and I'm rarely there now because it is a big...
Oh yeah, I wasn't even saying that as like a personal whatever against you, but like I noticed a lot of YouTubers, when they get semi-big, probably usually coinciding with about the time they start taking on Raid Shadow Legends sponsorships, at that point in the YouTuber development, they open up a Discord server, and this is just like relaying my own personal experience. It tends to not go well.
Right.
It does not. You usually as a creator, certain stuff with the fans is nice. They'll be nice to you. They'll tell you what you want to hear, but in general, speaking objectively, it is more of a distraction than not. It is more of a deterrent than not.
What I see
my
it
experience.
as, I can rally on that, but what I see it as, and one of the biggest reasons I dropped it is, it's inauthentic. You know, a fan could be as nice to me as they want. They could be as personal in their conversation, but until we cross that line of friendship, it's pleasantry. You know, until they interact with me in a personal, intimate setting or regularly, it's all just like surface level. You know, they don't actually know who I am. And I think that's an injustice to people. I think that's a disservice. You know, I watch a lot of streamers, and, you know, for some of them, I'm just like, oh my God, their whole shtick is selling friendship, and it's fake.
Yeah.
And the people taking it up on it are whatever circumstance they're in, whether they be desperate or they're just like bored or whatever. And I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be a friendship salesman. I don't want to be a rent-a-buddy.
It's a very one-sided interaction.
That's
what it is.
And it just doesn't do it for me.
I've always had a much easier time talking to fellow creators, even if they're a small channel, even if they have a few thousand subs. It is way more easy to talk to them than just average Joe Schmo fans. And I'm like, I don't hate the fans. I'm not like one of these guys like, get the hell away from me if you're a fan. I went to the Rays game a couple nights and just coincidentally happened to sit next to some fans. They recognized me.
Oh,
I had a good talk. Yeah. It was perfectly fine.
Right.
But in terms of just like the depth of conversation possible, it is way easier to talk to YouTube.
Of course.
Because when you're trying to like explain to just someone out in the conventional workforce what we do, there's so much just expository dialogue that has to take, so much preamble that has to take place before they're even like ready to like discuss the issues you have to deal with. Like in order to have the proverbial water cooler discussion with just an average Joe out there, you have to like explain an hour basically, just because the content creation process on YouTube is so different than conventional jobs, which most people have experience with.
It's a different lifestyle. To tie into that, and where I had my original point, to kind of bring it full circle, in my mind, relatable is the worst thing you can be. And unfortunately, that's the goal of many large channels. They want to seem like someone you could hang out with. They want to seem like a friend, someone they could talk to. I hate that. I cannot stand that. I want to push myself to go further than that. Like a fucking Dragon Ball Z character. I'm going further beyond. Because in my mind, when I talk to these people, I don't want them to be like, oh my God, he's just like me. Oh my God, he's literally so down to earth. He's just me. I could see. I want them to think, wow, he's so fucking cool. He's doing so much stuff. He's so motivated and determined and nonstop. Yeah. That's who I want to be, because that's who I think I want to be.
You want to be a point of aspiration.
Yes.
Not a point of like, hey, he's just like a friend.
I want to be motivating, not comforting. That is my drive, because that in my brain is what pushes me. I don't look at other people for inspiration. I don't look at other creators or celebrities or any of that. As lame and stupid, as childish as it is, I look at fictional characters. I look at fucking Kenshiro having to fucking push himself in the final fight with Rao. I look at fucking anime and cartoons and stories and fucking classical literature and books, and I look at characters and see just how they were able to surpass normal human limits. And I'm not talking in like a fucking childish, like, oh, he became a Super Saiyan and flew around. But I mean in like their determination, the struggles they go through, their scenarios, their adventures. They turn into these, icons.
Yeah, it's something about the human condition where I'm not just sinking to average mediocrity, but more so trying to become exceptional. I think there's certainly a lot of exceptionalism on YouTube.
There is.
I think it's a big driving force.
There
it's a big
is,
reason
but
I
think that there's more relatability on YouTube than that. I think for every person you have whose entire shtick is like, I bought $1,000 of dry ice or whatever, you have 10 people going, hey, today I'm going to be playing this game, and it's going to be fun, and here's my thoughts on it.
It's kind of this conformist, hive mind type behavior.
And
almost.
I can't stand that fucking shit. I think that's the most boring goddamn shit. Growing up, I watched a ton of content. I watched YouTubers, and I had my comfort streams and all this stuff. But admittedly, I barely watch it now, because there are a pool of creators I very much enjoy, and every time they upload, such as yourself, every time they upload, I go, oh yeah, let's check it out, sweet. Like, I could rattle off a good list of names here that I do still like. But so many creators now, especially the ones that are up and coming, it feels like they are the product, not what they're doing, not what they're making. And that bores the shit out of me. I don't want to be just, oh, he's a guy and he makes videos and he's funny. I want people to go, well, he did this and he did this and he did this great video and he made this great video and this stream was fucking awesome and this art project. I want my name to come with a list of accomplishments, not just, oh, he's a YouTuber. Oh, he makes like a daily video talking about stuff. Oh, he like, I don't know, he like games, he reviews stuff. I think that's so goddamn boring. It just doesn't do it for me at all.
Yeah, it's about being kind of beyond a YouTuber.
Yeah,
there's different ideas over what a YouTuber is among kind of either casual peoples or even people within our industry.
And it's nebulous because the ways that you can make money in this industry these days are all over the place. You know, there's no set path anymore. You know what I mean? It used to be in the past, you had to be a personality who uploaded like regularly. That was like the only way. But now you have channels where they upload once every 5 months and they have a Patreon and they kill it, you know? And they don't have to worry about the schedule. They just do that. But to tie it with an example, I made a video that's a parody of an educational video on turning a sphere inside out. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I have seen that video.
Okay, great.
Yes.
I feel a lot more pride, a lot more joy, way better when people say, oh, that video is fucking amazing, it's like the best thing, and I see like memes of it or TikTok clips, than when people say, oh, it's Andrew on the official podcast. Oh, it's the guy who made How It's Made. It's like, yeah, that's cool, but tell me about what got to you. Tell me what makes you like, what you remember, what entertains you.
What made that content distinct in your mind?
What of me do you like? Give me that chunk, give me that depth, give me that personality. Don't just like the idea of who I am. Like what I've done. That's what I want to be.
I think that's a pretty inspiring thing to end on here.
Sure.
Hopefully, I know there's a lot of aspiring channels. There's even a lot of pre-existing successful channels who watch The Downward Diary, who watch The Downward Drive. I'm hoping you can get something out of this.
And I'm hoping we hurry before the fucking ceiling collapses again.
Oh, yes. We're asking for it at any moment. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully the lav audio has been okay thus far. And we're going to be looking to record lots of more episodes with lots of more guests in the future. Until then, I'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.